My beloved child, I need you to pause in this very moment and listen deeply, because there is an undercurrent in the spiritual realm pressing against the atmosphere of your life in ways you have not yet fully perceived. It is not loud like a storm, not violent like thunder, but like a cold wind slipping through a narrow crack, making the flame in your heart tremble. I do not speak this to instill fear. I speak so you will know that these invisible tremors are not random. They are the signs of a collision between light and darkness around your soul. Just as two layers of atmosphere meet and create a new pressure, I see the way you try to hold your peace. But that peace is like a candle left on an open porch, always one gust away from going out unless my hand shields it. You believe you are strong, but I see how a single fleeting thought can make you sink. I see how you keep trying to steady yourself, suppress your feelings, focus harder. But behind all of it is a soul tired from maintaining rhythm in an atmosphere that has not been stable. I speak this with the seriousness of a father who protects the movements you feel from the spiritual realm are not meant to frighten you. They are meant to push you off the ground I placed you upon. And if you do not cling to the spiritual atmosphere I give, you will be pulled into emotions that do not belong to you. But I am here, and I will teach you how to stand. You must understand that the spiritual realm does not influence only through large events. Sometimes all it needs is to brush your mind with a single stray thought to shift the direction of your entire day. Just as one tiny pebble can disrupt the rhythm of a wheel, darkness does not need grand attacks. It strikes at the places where you are easily shaken. An old memory rising suddenly, a passing sense of emptiness, a moment of comparison between you and someone else, each small thing, when combined, creates a wave strong enough to disturb your spiritual atmosphere. You think it is natural emotion, but I see clearly it comes from a realm that is not of me. And just as a sailor must adjust his sails when the wind turns, you too will drift into directions that are not yours if you do not discern where the wind is coming from. I do not blame you for being swept away many times. Darkness is subtle and knows how to strike when you are tired. But my child, from this moment onward, I will teach you how to keep the atmosphere of your mind and heart steady even while the spiritual realm is shifting. You are not only a person living on the earth, you are one connected to the heavens. And those who bear that mark must learn to keep their inner space clean, bright, and balanced so that no external tremor can claim ground within them. Let me give you an image. Your mind is like a house with many windows, and your emotions are the curtains swaying with the wind. When the winds of life blow gently, the curtains remain still. But when the winds of the spiritual realm grow strong, they whip about and create confusion, even though nothing inside the house is truly dangerous. And I tell you plainly that in these recent days, you have not realized that the winds blowing against you were not of this natural world. They were gusts from the unseen realm trying to slip into your inner space. Darkness cannot break your door, but it can stir the winds outside just enough to make you open the door from within. It makes you uneasy without cause, tired without reason, overly sensitive, easily saddened, easily overwhelmed, easily turned against yourself. I do not allow these things to weaken you. I allow them to reveal that your atmosphere needs strengthening. Just as one who tends a fire must watch the direction of the wind to shield the flame, you must learn to recognize when the spiritual winds are shifting so you can pull your mind into my presence. You are not alone in these tremors. I stand beside you, my hand cupped over the flame of your heart so it does not go out. I will teach you how to close the door to the wind, but open the door to the light. My child, you must know this when your mind loses its spiritual atmosphere. Your emotions cease to be the truthful voice of your soul. They become the echoes of the wind, winds from places that do not belong to me. You will find yourself sad without cause, anxious without event, hurt by a small thing, or angry over something insignificant. I know you have blamed yourself. I'm too weak. I'm too unstable. I lack faith. But I look deeper and I see the truth. You are not weak, you are influenced. And the influence is not coming from within you, but from movements permitted so that you may learn the difference between true emotion and emotion stirred by the wind. Remember this, the wind does not speak of the identity of the seed, it speaks only of the strength of the storm. And you are not the storm. You are the one I planted. You are the one I cover. You are the one I am training to stand in the atmosphere I give. These tremors are not meant to strike you down. They are meant to shape you into one who can govern the inner climate regardless of how the world outside shifts. I am here to teach you this. Now I bring you into a deeper chamber of revelation, where every word I speak is liturgical, not merely to comfort your soul, but to consecrate your thoughts and emotions. I do not only want you to overcome tremors, I want you set apart from the contaminated spiritual atmospheres around you. Just as the high priest could not enter the Holy of Holies without preparing his heart, you also cannot maintain a holy atmosphere if you have not learned to distinguish what comes from me and what rises from chaotic winds. I speak this with solemnity. An unguarded mind is an open gate to atmospheres. But a mind resting under my presence becomes a wall of fire no force can penetrate. Know this, I do not build spiritual strength through emotional intensity. I build it through stillness anointed by my spirit. Consider your mind as a vessel of oil placed upon a sacred table. If the dust of the world falls into it, the flame will sputter, but if you keep it clean, the flame burns steady without shaking. I do not call you to fight the wind. I call you to stand within the authority of one who has been anointed. And now I will teach you how to walk in that authority. The first thing you must understand is this: the sacred atmosphere does not come from willpower, it comes from surrender. When your mind yields to me, it is no longer an empty space, easily occupied, but becomes a tabernacle, a place where I dwell and where every foreign wind is driven away before it ever reaches your emotions. There are moments when you believe you must try harder, focus more, pray louder, but my child, spiritual strength does not flow from volume. It flows from placing yourself under my lordship. When you say, Father, my mind belongs to you, you are repeating a consecration. When you whisper, Father, let my emotions return to their rightful order, you are closing the door to every dark current. When you breathe deeply in my presence, that breath becomes an inner offering. In daily life, this shows itself in moments the world considers ordinary. When you pause before responding to an attack, when you choose silence instead of reacting from emotion, when you release a heavy thought instead of carrying it until you break. All of these are sacred rituals within the tabernacle of your soul. See, every moment you guard your mind as the priest tending the fire on the altar, not for fear it will go out, but because you know the flame came from heaven. I also want you to step into this truth. The sacred atmosphere is not guarded only by holiness, but by awareness. You must know when your heart is being tugged gently to the left by the wind of anxiety, or nudged to the right by the echo of comparison. These subtle movements are never random. They are deliberate cracks that darkness attempts to widen. But when you are awake in me, you will notice them the moment they touch the edge of your mind. Like a guard watching 3 gates of the temple, you will sense instantly when something not carrying my breath tries to slip in. And you do not drive it out by fear. You simply turn your mind toward the light, and darkness loses its right to stay. In everyday life, this is revealed when a sudden heaviness disappears simply because you whisper, Father, I return. When you say those words, you enact the ritual of opening the door to light and closing the door to shadow. No complicated ceremony needed. And you will see the sacred atmosphere is not protected by war, but by direction. Now I speak this with the solemnity of the one who governs the air. You have been given authority to define the atmosphere of your mind. not endure it. You are not merely the keeper of the flame. You are the one I have entrusted with the keys to open or close the sacred air in every season. When your emotions feel troubled, you no longer need to ask, "Why am I not okay?" You may rise in the authority given to you and say, "This atmosphere does not belong to me." When you feel heaviness, you do not have to blame yourself. You may place your hand upon your heart and consecrate your breath. Let only the breath of the Father move here. When you walk into places thick with shadow, you do not fear being swallowed. The sacred air within you reshapes the space around you. In all the simple moments, walking down the street, sitting at your desk, navigating difficult relationships, I will remind you that you carry a chest of light inside you, a realm of radiance that cannot be extinguished. And wherever you go, that atmosphere goes with you. You are no longer the one tossed by the winds of life. You are the one who adjusts the air with my breath. This is a privilege, but it is also a profound authority, and I entrust it to you with all the confidence of heaven. Now I need to lead you into a deeper layer of vigilance, because the one who carries a sacred atmosphere must not only keep peace, they must discern the invisible currents that test the inner life. I have seen the days when you suddenly become unusually sensitive, as though your soul is being pulled in several directions at once. Thoughts that never unsettled you before become heavy, as if someone has slipped stones into a bag tied around your shoulders. You call it discouragement, but I tell you the truth, these are vibrations from the spiritual realm trying to slip into an unguarded mind. Like a gatekeeper who does not sleep, you must learn to recognize when a feeling that does not belong to you comes knocking, seeking shelter within your heart. Not everything you feel is born from your own soul. Many things are merely echoes from battles you walked past, and if you do not discern them, you will carry emotions that were never yours and blame yourself for them. But I am here to teach you this discernment is not doubting yourself. It is distinguishing my voice from the wind. I want you to understand this as a principle for life. Every spiritual attack begins with a thought left unexamined. Even one small idea accepted wrongly can open a great door for heavy emotions to flood in. When a thought whispers, "You are not enough," you must shine light on it immediately. For if you do not, within minutes the weight of failure will press upon your heart. When a thought says, "Someone is turning against you," it does not only wound your heart, it distorts your posture toward others. When a thought says, "Everything is getting worse," it opens the door to anxieties I did not send. You must learn to stand at the door of your mind and ask a simple question. What air does this thought carry, light or darkness? If it carries my breath, it will lead you toward peace, clarity, and truth. If it carries another breath, it will cause you to shrink, harden, doubt, or react impulsively. Discernment is not as complicated as you imagine. It requires only one pause, one moment of light cast upon a thought before allowing it deeper into your heart. My child, what I am teaching you next is a crucial strategy. Do not discern when your emotions are high. Discern when you are standing on the foundation of peace. Intense emotions are like swirling waters. If you try to see your reflection on moving water, the image will always appear distorted. There were moments when you thought everyone was against you, but only after peace returned did you realize it was merely the echo of internal turbulence. There were times you believed you were being abandoned, when in truth it was only exhaustion clouding your perception. There were moments you felt worthless, though it was simply a breeze brushing against the places in you that were not yet healed. So I teach you, when you are too sad, do not trust your feelings. When you are too angry, do not trust your thoughts. When you are too tired, do not trust your circumstances. Lay everything down. Return to my presence, and let my peace become the new surface upon which you see everything again. When peace returns, you will distinguish clearly what comes from heaven and what comes from the winds. I also want to warn you about one of the enemy's most subtle strategies. It does not attack on the days when you are strong. It waits for the days when you are questioning yourself. It does not strike your firmest places. It targets the places where you doubt the most. It does not come when you are surrounded by light. It waits for the moments when you feel alone. When night has settled, when unresolved thoughts linger, when your heart wavers. But I give you a truth: to break this tactic, you are never truly alone. For my presence never departs from the atmosphere surrounding your mind. You simply forget that I am there. And the moment you remind your soul that I am near, darkness loses its permission to touch you. When you whisper, "Father," my atmosphere rushes in like holy fragrance, dissolving every cold current trying to seep into your emotions. One word, one breath, one turning of your attention toward me, and the atmosphere shifts, not because of your effort, but because of my authority. Remember this: maintaining a holy atmosphere does not mean making everything calm. It means submitting your heart beneath my rule in the midst of everything. You will encounter people who carry a heavy atmosphere. Stand firm. You will enter places that feel weighed down. Carry my breath. You will have days where your emotions rise and fall without reason. Let me steady you. Learn to offer each pulse of your heart to me as a silent form of worship. When you say quietly, "I give you this emotion," you remove the enemy's permission. When you say, "I choose your will over my feelings," you shut the gate. When you say, "I return," you reclaim your place as one chosen to govern the atmosphere within yourself. I call you not only to walk in the light, but to be a keeper of the light, not a light born from your own effort, but the light I place within you to arrest every movement that does not come from heaven. My child, I want to bring you into a realm of healing that only those trained in a holy atmosphere can enter. I know there are days when you grow weary, not because life is too heavy, but because your mind has had to fight waves of atmospheres that do not belong to the light. I see the loneliness of your silent battles, the times you tried to hold your peace like someone sheltering a lantern in a storm. But let me lift you from self-defense. I did not place you in battle so that you would strain. I placed you there so you could learn to lean on my spiritual authority. When I speak in the Psalms, "Be still and know that I am God," Psalm 4:610, I am not calling you to stillness because you are powerless. I am calling you to stillness so that I may do my part. There are battles you are not permitted to fight because they would drain you, but there are battles where I ask only that you hold your posture so that I may fight for you, and you will feel an unexpected lightness when you let me command the atmosphere around you. Now I teach you the strategy of remaining steady in my presence. For one who keeps the atmosphere cannot merely endure, they must learn to operate. First, anchor your soul in my word, not as information, but as the rope that secures you to heaven's air. When your heart falters, whisper, "The Lord is my refuge," Psalm 9:1-2. When fear rises, say, "The Lord is the stronghold of my life," Psalm 2:7-1. These words are not slogans, they are spiritual compasses that immediately turn your inner life toward the light. When you repeat my word, my atmosphere echoes within you like the ringing of a bell in a sacred temple, and every disturbance not from me must withdraw. When you speak truth, you do not only strengthen yourself, you build a wall of fire around your mind. In practical life, this shows up in small moments: when you are driving and suddenly feel heaviness, when you sit before your work and feel strength fading, or when a message pulls your emotions downward in an instant. With just one word turning you toward me, the atmosphere changes, and you will know my word is not only learned, it is used to govern the unseen. I also want you to know that healing does not come only through comfort, healing comes through reformation. Some parts of you were easily shaken simply because they were never placed in their rightful alignment. You let emotions lead where I was meant to guide. You let memories define your worth instead of letting truth define you. You let other voices grow louder than your Father's voice. I do not blame you. This is the natural reflex of a wounded soul. But now, I am restructuring every part of you. I am replacing the strength of fear with the strength of peace. I am replacing the need for validation with the certainty that you are known by me. I am replacing the impulse to control with the rest that comes from being held. As these structures shift into place, your mind will grow steadier, your emotions deeper but unwavered, and your soul peaceful even in strong winds. This is the sign of one who carries true spiritual authority. And now I grant you authority not as a warrior swinging a sword, but as one entrusted with mastery over the atmosphere. You will learn to enter each day not with fear of being shaken, but with the intention to govern what is within you. When you wake, offer me this quiet prayer, Father. Cover my mind with your peace. In doing so, you are anointing the door of your mind so that dark air cannot cling to it. When you enter crowded spaces, remind yourself that you do not walk alone. You carry my breath. When you face the unexpected, remember, my presence always arrives before fear does. I want you to walk as one who knows they are my dwelling place, the place where light resides, where no dark wind can extinguish the flame. In daily life, you will sense this when the atmosphere of a room shifts, simply because you stepped in, not because you are powerful, but because I am in you. Where others feel heavy, you will feel clarity. Where others lose peace, you will remain anchored, and you will recognize this is not your doing, this is me moving through you. My child, I speak this final word. You are not only being taught to stand firm, you are being taught to carry the atmosphere of heaven. A keeper of the sacred atmosphere does not merely protect their own heart from turbulence. Such a person becomes a steady point for others who are shaking. When someone loses direction, you will be the one who brings clarity. When someone is dragged down by emotion, you will be the one who leads them back into peace. When someone is struck by spiritual echoes, you will know how to guide them into my presence with simple words that carry weight. You will not speak from knowledge, you will speak from the very place where I have healed you. And because you have learned to stand in my strength, the atmosphere around you will heal others even before you speak. This is the anointing I have placed on your life, the anointing to guard the atmosphere, to stand in strong winds without being moved, to become a holy breath for this generation. You do not create this yourself. I am forming it in you day by day. I see the way you have tried to protect the atmosphere within you like a person carrying a cup of oil through the dark wind. And I want you to know that I honor every quiet effort you have made. No one sees the moments when you swallow your sighs, but I see. No one knows the battle raging in your mind even while you smile. But I know. No one hears the uneven breath when emotions flood you like breaking water. But I hear, and I do not come to rebuke your weakness. I come to honor the small, courageous steadiness you continue to hold through long days. There were moments when you thought you were about to break, but it was in those very moments that I poured new oil into your heart so you could endure what moved invisibly around you. I want you to know that you never uphold the atmosphere alone. I stand behind you like the pillar of fire stood behind my people in the night. When you tremble, I cover you. When you tire, I lift you. When you want to give up, I lay my hand upon your chest until your heartbeat returns to peace. You are my dwelling place, and the dwelling place of heaven is always guarded more fiercely than it can guard itself. Let me draw you into the deeper breath of my presence, where the sacred atmosphere no longer feels like something you must cling to, but becomes the environment you naturally inhabit. You have grown accustomed to living on edge, defending yourself against inner and outer conflict. And so it feels unfamiliar to you when I shift the wind from striving to rest. But I say to you plainly, a season is opening where you will no longer fight in your own strength. For the atmosphere of heaven will automatically push back strange winds before they ever reach you. This is not because you are strong enough. It is because you are finally standing in the right place. When your mind is set beneath my authority, every foreign breath loses access. When your emotions are covered by my holy cloth, every intrusive thought falls away before touching your heart. I am renewing the inner architecture of your being in ways you cannot yet fully perceive. You will notice you are no longer easily shaken, no longer easily pulled, no longer easily overwhelmed, not because you have hardened, but because you now carry a sacred interior, an inner sanctuary where the noise of the world and the movements of the unseen must pass through the firewall I have set around you. My child, every time you return to me in your heart, even with the smallest whisper, you open the door into the atmosphere of purity. You have often believed that you must speak much, pray loudly, or appear strong in order to keep a holy atmosphere. But here is the deepest truth. A single breath returning to me is enough to change the air around you. Like someone being pulled by water who regains their balance the moment they touch a rock. Your heart needs only a moment's contact with me for all turbulence to settle instantly. Do you know why? Because in the sacred space I have placed within you, no foreign air can survive long. When you whisper, Father, the entire language of the spiritual realm must realign itself under the authority your voice has just declared. When you breathe within my presence, that breath carries fire, and that fire burns away the cold air hovering near your emotions. You do not need to become strong in a moment. You only need to return. I will do the rest. Understand this: the sacred atmosphere is not merely a state. It is the environment your soul was created to live in. Just as a fish cannot survive long on land, your soul begins to wither when it is kept too long outside my presence. I do not say this to scold you for the days you wandered. I say it so you will know why you felt confused, directionless, sensitive, doubting, or fragile. Those were not signs of weakness, but symptoms of being placed in the wrong environment. When you dwell in me, every heavy feeling fades like noise being pulled from a room. When you dwell in me, the things that once caused you anxiety become no more than the sound of light rain on a roof. They cannot touch you. When you dwell in me, the movements of the spiritual realm become signals for discernment, not burdens for you to bear. I want you to live in the real environment, not the false one. I want you to breathe heaven's air, not the borrowed atmosphere of external noise. And you have the right to do this because you belong to me. Remember that I am not only teaching you how to protect the atmosphere, I am leading you into deeper knowing. A keeper of atmosphere is not someone who must see many things. It is someone who knows how to pause at the right moment. When your mind begins to race faster than normal, that is the signal to stop. When your emotions ripple like disturbed water, that is the signal to return. When your heart feels unusually tight without explanation, that is the signal to enter my stillness. Discernment is not something you must force. Discernment is something you allow me to illuminate. Just as a lamp cannot inspect its own flame, you cannot accurately assess your own state with weary eyes. You must let my light examine you. When I shine, confusion separates, truth rises, and falsehood exposes itself. You need only remain at peace and let me do what must be done. I want you to become someone who shifts the atmosphere from within, not someone who is constantly shaped by the atmosphere around them. When you walk into a chaotic space, you are not contaminated. You carry heaven into the chaos. When you are near those who are troubled, you are not pulled down. You become the steady place they rest upon. When you face injustice, you do not collapse. You hold my breath and allow me to speak for you. This is not a distant ideal. This is something I planted within you long before you understood the language of the Spirit. You are one I have positioned to alter the atmosphere of an entire room, not one who is at the mercy of it. Believe this: your presence in a place can change the state of that place. Your presence in a relationship can shift the entire flow within it. Your peace does not only strengthen you, it creates a safe zone for others to breathe. One who carries a sacred atmosphere does not pass through life like a gentle wind. They move like an unseen halo that everyone can feel. My child, I am still healing the parts of you that you have no words for. There are feelings you think belong to today but are really echoes of yesterday. There are fears you think are new but that have been sleeping in your memory. There are tremors you think others caused but are actually old wounds being brushed against. I do not blame you for not recognizing these things. I am working through them layer by layer so that nothing can easily pull you out of the holy atmosphere again. There are moments when your heart feels tight for no clear reason. Moments when you feel tense without cause. Moments when you feel unsettled even on ordinary days. You have asked, "What is wrong with me?" And I say nothing. You are being healed deeply. And true healing always brings older layers to the surface before they disappear. You are not breaking, you are being processed. You are not becoming weaker, you are being refashioned to become stronger. My beloved child, I want to open your heart to a holy reality that few truly see. The spiritual atmosphere is not something you must grasp, it is the realm you are meant to dwell in. Just as a fish does not strive to remain in water, your soul does not need to strive to remain in me. You simply must not step outside the environment that is truly yours. When you return to my heart, the air within you shifts immediately. When you close your eyes and breathe within my presence, every dark current withdraws. When you practice stillness, you are allowing me to rebuild the inner space where all your thoughts, emotions, and decisions flow on the foundation of peace. I want you to live within peace the way a priest lived within the fragrance of the sanctuary, not for beauty, but for purity, clarity, and sacred alertness. The peace I give is not the silence of the world, it is the steadiness of heaven. I want to draw you deeper into a realm where the spiritual atmosphere is no longer an idea in your mind, but becomes the natural breath of your soul. For many years, you learned to sense my presence through moments of strong emotion, but now I am leading you into a new maturity, where you recognize me not by spiritual tremors, but by enduring stillness. That stillness is not emptiness, it is a heavy atmosphere of life. Like the warmth of dawn filling a room before the sun rises. When you dwell within that stillness, you do not have to try to love me, you simply love. You do not have to push yourself to trust me, your heart naturally believes. You do not have to fight to hold on to peace, peace itself begins to hold you. This is the realm of maturity I build for my chosen ones, a place where painful striving is replaced by the gentle indwelling of my presence. And I know you have longed to live in this realm without having to fight for balance every single day. Step deeper, for this is the new home of your soul. When I look into your heart, I see the layers of weariness you have carried from years of wrestling between my voice and the other voices around you. Those voices were not always loud. Sometimes they whispered like wind slipping through a roof, making you doubt your own worth without knowing why. You have grown used to asking yourself, am I wrong? Am I too weak? Do I even belong to this calling? And those questions have soaked into your mind like long shadows every time you tried to step forward. But my child, those questions did not come from me. I have never called you weak. I have never told you that you were not enough. I have never said you were unworthy. The only thing I have ever spoken is this: you belong to me. And that belonging is enough to calm every storm in your heart. The questions that wounded you were never my voice. They were the echoes of an atmosphere you lived in for too long. But now I am changing the air around you. And when I change the air, every old echo dissolves like the whispers of night fading before the morning light. I want you to recognize that not every internal shaking is a flaw. Many shakings are simply signs that your soul is still being tugged by remnants of the old season. I do not come to tear you down, I come to heal you. And true healing often looks like trembling before it looks like strength. You are like a branch transplanted from corrupted soil into good ground. The initial unsteadiness is normal. It is the sign that you are adjusting to a new environment. But when your roots sink deep into my soil, when your heart learns to draw from my breath, you will stand firm not because you are striving, but because the ground beneath you has changed. I am that ground. My presence is that ground. And the winds of the old season will no longer carry you away when you stand upon the soil that is truly yours. My child, I know there are days when you try to maintain the atmosphere but still feel unsettled for reasons you cannot name. You think you have failed. But I want to correct how you see yourself. Maintaining atmosphere is not something you master instantly. It is the condition you are being trained into. A person learning to swim does not blame themselves for swallowing water, and one learning to keep spiritual atmosphere does not blame themselves for being shaken by unexpected winds. I am not watching for perfection. I am watching the direction of your heart. Every time you return to me, every time you place your hand on your chest and breathe in my presence, every time you refuse to let emotions define your worth, those are victories, not losses. I do not count the moments you waver. I count the moments you come back. And you return more often than you realize. You are more faithful than you know. You are stronger than you think. You are steadier than your heart has led you to believe. I want you to step into a deeper truth. One who can keep atmosphere is one who can keep rhythm. Just as a musician never plays according to the noise in the room, but always stays tuned to the true tempo. You must set your heart to my rhythm. When others are frantic, you do not need to be frantic. When circumstances rush, you do not need to rush. When the noise rises, you do not rise with it. Your rhythm is my rhythm. This is what marks my chosen ones. This is what sets you apart. This is what keeps darkness from using atmosphere to shake your foundations. When you hold my rhythm, you move like one walking inside a frequency that cannot be touched. Every tremor outside can only strike the air, but it cannot reach your soul. Let me show you another picture. The spiritual atmosphere does not merely protect you from attack. It becomes the bridge through which you receive signals from heaven with clarity. When your atmosphere is clean, you hear me distinctly, without interference from emotional noise. When your atmosphere is bright, you recognize my signs with just a gentle stirring inside. When your atmosphere is still, you discern quickly without wrestling for hours. You once believed that hearing me was a privilege reserved for a few specially anointed ones. But I want you to know that your new environment is what makes your spiritual hearing sharp. When you are placed within this holy air, you begin to sense me in the smallest movements, a thought arriving at the perfect moment, a sudden wave of peace, a quiet certainty that makes no sense to the mind, a gentle nudge stronger than all surrounding noise. This is how I speak to you, and I want you to see that it is in the moments when you are quiet on the inside that I work most powerfully. You once thought my movements would come with emotional surges, but more often I step into your life the way morning mist settles, gentle, subtle, unforced, yet strong enough to redirect the winds in your heart. When you are quiet, the underground streams I placed within you begin to flow steadily. When you are quiet, the decisions you make become sharper, lighter, truer. When you are quiet, the words you speak carry oil instead of fear. I do not want your stillness only for your own sake. I want your stillness because it becomes the instrument I use to touch others. My child, I have seen the moments when you feared losing your spiritual state, as though one mistake could cause you to fall out of my presence. But hear me clearly, my presence is not as fragile as mist that you must cling to. My presence is like an ocean, always here, always available, waiting only for you to step in. You do not hold me, I hold you. You do not need to prove anything to remain under my covering. You need only open your heart to receive what I have already prepared. The sacred atmosphere does not depend on your perfection. It depends on my faithfulness. I am faithful even when you are weak. I hold you even when you let go. I lift you even when you are too weary to pray. So do not fear losing me. Allow me to keep you. I want to lift your mind so you can see what you have never fully grasped before when you live within the sacred atmosphere. You are not only protected, you become a sign of heaven upon the earth. The peace within you becomes evidence that I am alive. The steadiness in you becomes testimony that I am near. The light in your eyes becomes a beacon to those who are lost, showing that a path home still exists. You do not merely carry my presence, you reflect it. Others will not understand why they feel safe around you. But I understand they are stepping into the air of my presence that you carry. You will not need to persuade anyone about me. I will reveal myself through the atmosphere you bring. You will influence not by speech, but by presence. This is the ministry of atmosphere. This is the anointing in silence. This is how I spread the light. My child, I want you to be free from the fear of spiritual failure. I know you worry that one misstep could make you lose the stillness you have tried to maintain. But my child, you do not live by perfection, you live by covenant. My covenant does not fluctuate with your good days or bad days. It does not diminish when you are weary or increase when you are strong. It stands unshaken because it was sealed by blood, not by your mood, not by your performance, not by your effort. So rest more deeply in my love. Do not fear dropping the atmosphere. I will pick it up for you. Do not fear accidentally letting the wind slip through. I am the keeper of the door. Do not fear being insufficient. I am enough for both of us. You simply breathe, walk, and let me lead. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to belong. I love you with a love that knows every tremor in your heart and never turns away. I love you with a love unafraid of your weakness. I love you with a love that holds you the way one guards their own breath. You belong to me, every thought, every emotion, every tremble, every silent tear. You are the home I choose, not because you are perfect, but because I desire to dwell with you, and wherever I dwell will always be protected. Before you leave this holy moment, I want to cover you with the final breath of the message that has been sown into your heart. You have walked through depths that not everyone is humble enough to enter, and I see the quiet expansion taking place within your soul like roots searching for new ground. Do not hurry away as if this were merely a message. This is the space I open to realign the entire inner rhythm of your life. You have listened to me, and I have seen your heart respond. Walk out of here not as someone who has received another burden, but as someone who has found real air to breathe. The sacred atmosphere you have felt in these moments is not something fleeting. It is the evidence that I am renewing you from the inside. Layer by layer, hold this stillness the way one would set a bowl of water upon the altar, not out of fear that it will spill, but as a reminder that I am always nearer than your breath. And when you step into the reality of tomorrow, whether the place you enter is windy or still, bright or dim, remember this: my presence is your refuge. Wherever you go, I go with you. However you breathe, I am there. You do not maintain the atmosphere alone. You do it with my hand resting upon your mind. Every moment, every minute, every day. You keep walking, and I will take care of the rest. May the Lord's words continually remind you to walk each day in His faith and His everlasting love. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you will not miss any of the sacred and meaningful messages God longs to impart to you. May the Lord bless you abundantly. Amen.